Good, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for sticking around. I know it's late and a lot of us were at work, so it's great to see all of you here. My name is Wlodarczyk. I will talk to you about the challenges that I see on a daily basis in security operations centers. And we will talk about my approach in helping them and fixing them. So who am I? I'm a consultant on 8-to-5 basis. I work with various types of organizations with assessing their security operations, assessing their SOCs, or assisting them with designing a security operations center. Besides that, I've been in the field for quite a bit. I personally do a lot of research and enjoy threat modeling a lot, because if you conduct threat modeling properly, you will get to any system you want to get into, right? It's not just clicking every single button in Metasploit or Cobalt Strike. You have to have a plan to get into the system. But anyway, that's a different talk. On the free time, I love to drive across our beautiful country, 500,000 miles driving under my belt. I really enjoy to go to places. This is a picture from Badlands that I visited last year. So, agenda for today. So I will talk about the SOC challenges, and I will base that on my day-to-day work. We'll talk about the reasons that I identified for SOC failure or issues and challenges. Then I will talk about the security operations framework or security operations assessment framework that I use to assess the organizations, the teams, and to identify things that can help them. And then we will talk about recommendations. So to do that, I will use the case studies from the organizations that I have seen. Of course, all the data is anonymized, but those challenges repeat in multiple organizations. So case study one, a global company. They have a CISO, they have a SOC manager, and they have one analyst. And usually the requirement from the board or from the business will come in and say, hey, we want 365, 24/7 monitoring, right? And you have one analyst, two managers, right? One board member. How you will accomplish that? And it's a global company. They don't want to hire, especially in today's economy and challenges, and they don't want to outsource because they have sensitive information that they don't want to share, right? Since they are a global company, they would like to follow the sun model, right? So here there is a day in US, there is a team monitors that the environment, then it's night, we move into Europe, we move into Asia, and so on. Clearly, here we can see that with 3 members on a team, you cannot accomplish. Now, there are some opportunities, since it's a global company, right? They most likely have locations in multiple countries across the world, and they most likely have some kind of IT team in each of the locations. So what they could potentially do is start training and utilizing the existing employees they have in those sites, but that would require a little bit reorganization and assigning those individuals under the SOC, and of course that would require training as well. But here you can see that there is a disconnect between the business, the requests, and then the SOC and what SOC actually can do. So unrealistic expectations. Case study 2, we will have a CISO and 3 analysts, not bad, right? With 3 analysts, you can start monitoring the organization pretty well. You can even start using the on-call system to have 24/7 monitoring. However, in a lot of organizations, SOC is being tasked with additional duties, like hey, conduct the vulnerability management for the organization, implement threat intelligence management program, do in-depth forensics, or pen testing, and so on. And you can name various types of tasks. While it's a great idea to give analysts additional tasks so they do not burn out looking at the logs and alerts on like 8-hour, 10-hour, or 12-hour shifts, right? They have a little change around in the things that they are doing. Implementing a full-blown program like vulnerability management, for example, takes that individual completely out of the SOC. So if you start throwing those programs on SOC to do, what you are doing is you are taking away the analyst from the SOC that's functioning somehow, and what is happening, you're ending up with a really poor program, right? Because let's say vulnerability management requires someone full-time, at least one engineer full-time to manage that. So we are taking this analyst, and what's happening, SOC starts failing, and the program that they were tasked with implementing is failing as well. So in this scenario, you would still need additional individuals. And what's happening here is still lack of understanding on a higher level what it takes to implement security program like that, on top of having SOC monitoring and responding to security events within the organization. Excuse me. Case study number 3. That's a government organization. And as you can see here, there is a pretty good organization, and there are multiple teams, right? There is enough personnel to conduct the operations. And the challenges that they ran into was they wanted to take care of the alerts within an hour, right? However, when we conducted workshop, we ended up with average of 5+ days of taking care of the security events. Now, and you can see here, there is a old school level 1, level 2 monitoring separation. Then we have multiple teams for incident response, right? For cloud, for specific system, for backup systems, and we even have forensics. So why does it take 5+ days to detect, conduct investigation, and respond? One, the team did not have incident response plan. So what happens a lot, an organization or team will download a templated incident response plan from SANS, CISA, MITRE, or any vendor, you name it. They download it, check the box for compliance. Yes, we have incident response plan. However, they don't take the second step, which is customizing their incident response plan to their business and to their organization and infrastructure that they have. So whether you are working with a financial institution, manufacturing organization, factory, or government organization, the requirements are different, right? The monitoring and response in high level, yeah, it's the same thing. However, the things that are important for this organization, critical assets, processes, are different, and that's why you need to have this understanding, and that's why you need to customize your incident response plan based on your business and its needs, based on the teams that you have and critical assets that you have. I have seen multiple organizations where they start building incident response plan during the incident, which is already too late, or after incident, which is, again, too late, right? Downloading a templated incident response plan, great first step, but you actually have to customize it to your organization, to your teams, and then you have to socialize it so every single team within your organization knows their role and at what point they need to step in and what they have to do. So here, no incident response plan, and no service level objectives and agreements between the teams. So let's say level 1 analyst received a ticket, received an alert, started investigating. It was up to the analyst at which point they wanted to escalate to the next level. It wasn't that, okay, level 1 analyst receives an alert. If they cannot solve it within, let's say, 1 hour, they escalate. They didn't have that. Sometimes analysts took a day before they escalated, right? And that trickled down across all of the teams. So they didn't have that. Third item, and that's a really good workshop as well, and it would be really beneficial for you to do it. Take a look at security event, the raw security event, grab a timestamp, see when the security event was generated. Then take the timestamp of the security event after it was ingested to your system, whether using syslog, SIM, SOR, whatever it is. Grab that second timestamp. See the time difference. Then, if you are using, I call it old school approach, where in the SIM you have a query that checks for security events and then triggers a ticket, generates a ticket, or pages the analyst, right? Sometimes those queries are set to run every 5 hours, every 12 hours, and every 24 hours. And take a look at that timestamp or frequency of that scheduled query. And now you have 3 timestamps, right? The raw event when it was generated, then you have when it was ingested to the central repository system, right? SIM, usually SOR, syslog, whatever it is. And then take a look at the timestamp where analyst actually takes a look at the alert. I have seen in multiple organizations where the time between the security event being generated and analysts looking at the alert or looking at the event is 24 hours, right? 24 hours is a long time. You are looking after the fact. And again, frequently organizations are not even aware that they are responding to events or alerts after the fact. There is a best practice rule that industry is pushing right now. It's 1-10-60, right? Detect within 1 minute, investigate within 10 minutes, and respond within 60 minutes. I have not seen one organization that actually successfully implemented that approach and that practice and actually sustains it. I have seen organizations that detect and investigate within 30 minutes, which is a really good outcome, good score, but I have never seen an organization that detects within a minute, investigates with 10, and responds within 60. I have seen organizations that the response takes 5+ days, which is, again, to detect and investigate, 5+ days, that's after the fact. Depending on the size of the incident, the response might take longer, but the detect and starting the investigation should be the lowest time possible because you detect the threat actor within the organization faster, and that gives you time to respond and recover faster, so they don't completely compromise your environment. So, based on those 3 case studies, and again, those were 3 case studies, but they frequently repeat themselves across the organizations. I identified the most frequent reasons for the failure or issues within the SOC, and it's disconnect between business and security operations, right? So it's unclear and unrealistic expectations that no one really talks about. Lack of headcount, funding, and experience. No agreements between the teams that support security operations center. So service level agreements, service level objectives, which is basically time that you expect all additional team to give you a response or support you. So in this case, you have SOC. I'm sure organizations have cloud teams, network teams, endpoint teams, messaging teams, you name it. There has to be an agreement between the teams, especially when there is an incident based on severity, that they respond in specific time to support you in instant response. And of course, no instant response plan at the time of the incident. So now, once we have those reasons, I will talk a little bit about how I approach and assess Security Operations Center to help them. The first thing is to understand the business to align it to the security operations, right? To align the security operations to the business. So again, reiterating, depending on the business focus, the security operations might look a little bit different, the critical assets will be different, the important processes might be different. And then I move into identifying gaps and opportunities in the SOC, whether those are security processes or visibility. Does the SOC have visibility to entire environment? Does the SOC have tools to conduct incident response and forensics operations? Based on that, I define the initiatives that the security team would be most beneficial, right? What would be the most beneficial for that team? And have a conversation either with the SOC manager or CISO or chief architect, and prioritize those initiatives based on the goals that their organization has. Now, you can have the best goals, the best plan, right? But if you don't have a support from within the organization, you will have a hard time implementing those. So whenever you identify those initiatives, you also want to identify the stakeholders, whether it will be a network team, whether it will be the finance team, a cloud team. You want to have a discussion with them and explain it to them why those initiatives are important, and have their buy-in and support. While you have that, it will be easier for you to actually implement those initiatives. And of course, document that. Moving along, what we do next. I'm sure you have read white papers written by Meyer, Sands, Gartner, vendors, whoever, and they all talk about process, people, technology. However, they fail to mention what those security pillars mean and how they interconnect. So in our framework, besides the process, people, technology, we also identified affiliates, which are the teams that support or assist Security Operations Center. Business, because without business and business needs, there is no SOC, right? The business defines the need for the SOC, what needs to be protected, and that's why this pillar is here. And then we have visibility, because SOC needs visibility, and what provides the visibility? Technology. And we want to make sure that SOC has the required visibility to conduct its monitoring and other security operations. Let's start diving deeper into this. So this is a high-level blueprint. I start with the mission of the security operations. So what we are trying to do, what we are protecting. The mission can be, is enforced by GRC, by the governance. And what's governance using? They are using metrics and reporting. So they need to have this information to properly guide the organization. We are moving to planning phase. Pre-COVID, a lot of organizations still had a physical facility where they had a SOC and they had a war room. Now, government organizations still have those. Private sector moved into having the SOC remote. With planning, there is collaboration, because all the teams identified to support SOC need to collaborate, need to have those tools and agreements and processes defined and in place. The teams need staffing, right? And then individuals on those teams need training. And if you want to retain them, they need to have a career path, right? There are often conversations that analysts leave within a year, within 2 years. Well, guess what? A lot of those jobs are I would call it dead-end jobs, right? That you are a SOC analyst, level 1, level 2, and then there is nothing else for you to do. So what does that seasoned analyst leave? Looks for another, why did they leave? They look for another job because there is no career path progression within the organization. And then you don't want to burn out your analysts. I have worked with the SOCs where shifts were 12 hours, right, or night shifts. I mean, after a while, 12-hour shifts, or especially nights, you are done. So you want to monitor this employee utilization if you want to retain your analysts. And again, the analyst who has been with the organization for a year or longer, he or she is finally trained. They know the organization, they know the business, they know the infrastructure, so they can actually monitor and respond properly. So it is in your best interest to keep those analysts and engineers. And at the end, it all boils down to budget, right? Everything costs money. You have to have money for your SOC, for the operations, for the solutions, for the personnel and training. So it does boil down into the budget. Now let's talk about each one of those main items. So the first one was mission. Ask yourself, do you know the mission of your security operations center? If you don't, ask your SOC manager or CISO, hey, what's the mission of our SOC? If they can't answer that, the rule of thumb is take a look at the mission statement of your organization, and based on that, build a mission for your SOC. And I listed here a couple questions. You can see that can assist you with that, right? What are you trying to accomplish? What are you protecting? What are your critical assets? And what are the threats or threat actors that target your industry, target your organization? And that will help you. After the mission, we have governance. And it's interesting because governance, or GRC, is looked at as a red tape or a stepchild of security. In one corner you have governance or GRC, in the other one you have SOC. Both of those teams are needed, and both of those teams need each other and need to collaborate. And this is why GRC has capability of writing policies and enforcing them, but they have to have data to do that. Who has data? SOC has the data, and they can provide the data to the GRC team. So both of those teams can collaborate and can guide the organization, right? So again, it's not the red tape. Governance actually guides the organization, so the organization is compliant and it's lowering the risk. And again, couple questions that can assist you with that. So who writes and approves the security policies? Who enforces them and how? The measuring to report the progress as far as the risk, vulnerability management, and so on. And then how are we going to communicate security efforts, right? So this one here would be bulletins, it would be brown bag events, webinars, and so on. After that, I move into planning. So we understand the business, we understand the business use cases, we identify the key stakeholders that will help us with implementing those security initiatives. And here it's important that we identify the individuals who have vested interest in our security initiatives, and they understand why we are doing this, and they agree to support it. And when we have that, we can start implementing that within our organization. And I would like to add here that you can have the best plan, you can have most skilled analysts and engineers, but if you don't have buy-in, you will not implement this. And there is a quote used in industry that culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? Again, best plan, best analyst. If you don't have a buy-in, you won't be successful with implementing that security operations initiative within your organization. And collaboration. So back in the day, there was an approach that if you are an IT, you can do everything, right? Networking, programming, database administration, scripting, you name it. Similar scenario happens right now with security. You are a security analyst, you will do everything. You will monitor, you will respond, you will do forensics, you will do pen testing, you will do vulnerability management, threat intelligence management, pen tests, purple exercises. I mean, there is a lot, right? Well, guess what? A SOC or security analyst cannot do it on its own. They need support from additional teams. They need support from the organization, and those roles and responsibilities have to be outlined and documented. And here, a couple things listed, right? Someone writes security policies, someone enforces them. Then there is a technology deployment like firewalls, EDR, SIM, you name it, configuration maintenance of those tools, monitoring itself. Cloud comes into play, email, then incident response, assisting with incident response. If needed, forensics, development and tuning of the security content, now very popular automation orchestration. Well, one analyst cannot do it alone. Even team of analysts cannot do it alone. You will need to collaborate with multiple teams. You will have to outline the roles of each of the teams and how those teams will work together. Staffing. Each team needs individuals that will perform the work. They need to be trained individuals, right? So that you need to have a training plan. And then if you want to retain them, again, career path progression. And if you don't want to burn them out, employee utilization, you want to measure that, and you want to rotate your analysts through various security tasks so they don't burn out or they don't check out. I worked 12-hour shifts, and we had 3 types of analysts. The ones that would just come in, and after a while, they wouldn't even look at the alerts because 12-hour shifts, it just kills you, right? So they didn't care anymore. The ones who cared were overwhelmed, and after a while, they would just quit or they would move somewhere else. Right, and the ones that tried to keep up, but again, they couldn't because it was too much for them. So if you add those additional tasks, for example, do some of the content development, do some of the tuning, do some of the threat hunting, it keeps the analysts going, keeps their mind fresh, and retains them for a longer period of time, protects them from burning out. And it all boils down to the budget. And the statement that I like the most here is, do you have funding for at least the minimum requirements of security operations to accomplish the mission? So is it funded to conduct the minimum operations that it's supposed to, right? If not, then there is a problem. Now, it's easy to ask for money. It's easy to play with the feelings and use fear, but that will work maybe once or twice. The media is doing enough of that for all of us. So I do not recommend using fear or feelings to get money for your security initiatives. What I recommend is to, again, identify those opportunities, initiatives, define them, prioritize them, get the buy-in of the stakeholders, document it, and present it why specific initiative or initiatives are important, and then get the buy-in and implement them. So this was a quick run-through the framework that we are using. So what I have is a QR code is actually to the PDF, to the book that you can download and read through, where it actually defines every single security pillar and element that we are using. So you can read it in your free time. I have also posters for those security pillars and elements. So if you want, grab yourself one. And we have some time right now for Q&A. Yes?
So what would you consider a bare minimum SOC?
Bare minimum SOC, okay.
So in fact, let me give you a little extra with that.
Okay.
So bare minimum personnel, right? And bare minimum functions.
Okay.
All right, so say your companies are growing into where they want to have one, start fresh.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, we know we want to have security, we want to have better visibility. What's a minimum place to start? Like,
Okay.
It would be a good pitch to say, hey, look, we can start here, and then we can expand.
Grow. Okay.
All right.
Good question. So first, you want to have visibility, right? And you start with network, right? Network visibility. So of course, firewalls. However, we know that most of the traffic now is encrypted, probably 80%. So without next-gen firewall and breaking the encryption, your visibility will be limited. So now you will want next-gen firewall, and you want to see whether you can break encryption in your organization or not, because some organizations allow that, some do not, because you have privacy challenges, right? So the network visibility. Then, since network is just part of it, you will want to have endpoint visibility. Right? So endpoint logs, endpoint operations, if you can afford it, you or your organization can afford it, EDR, right? So you know exactly what's happening on the endpoints. So you have those two. However, if you want to grow in the future, there will be more logs, more alerts, and more appliances. So you will need a central repository for it. Back in the day, it was a SIM. Right, you name it. There were a lot of them, and they are good, but there are challenges with them because when we talked before, there is a delay between the time the alert or event gets into the SIM escalates it to the analyst, so you have to take a look at that. So you have 3 items here. If you want to start looking at the emails, we know that most of the threat vectors that attackers are using is through phishing, right, and sending emails. So you will need to have email visibility. So now you have a 4th tool. So let's start with those 4 tools. Then, do you want to have 24/7, 365 monitoring? The question is important because if you do, then you need to have either a personnel to support that or technology to support that, right? So like having 2 analysts, they will not handle 24/7, 365. They will be gone within 6 to 12 months, right? So you have to take a look at that. The industry is pushing solutions like automation orchestration, which can automate work of level 1 analysts, possibly level 2. However, if we are getting to serious incidents, you will need analysts, experienced analysts doing the work, right? So, and that's 1. And 2, implementing automation orchestration requires skilled individuals and takes time. So I gave you 4 solutions and then decision point, whether it's a 24/7, 365. If you can afford it and you don't want to outsource, you will have to calculate how your shifts are working to support it. Now, if you can outsource it, there are plenty of companies, MDR, MSSPs, that can do the monitoring after hours on the weekends and holidays for you. However, you have to remember that they will not have a full understanding of your business, the purpose. They will not know which assets are critical, which are not. So that's a decision point again for you to see what's worth more, right? Having that 24/7, 365 monitoring within your organization in-house, or you are okay with outsourcing this work and possibly not covering everything or 100% with support. So we are running into those decision points. I know it wasn't a clear-cut answer, but it's not that simple.
Well, and help me check it out. So, okay, we got Palo not CrowdStrike.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got VMware logs, we got
Uh-huh.
AD logs, we got a lot of that stuff. So the missing one is going to be the repository, so that was good thinking.
Mhm.
Add that building block in. As far as 24/7, don't need it.
Okay.
They're not that critical.
Now, do you have cloud?
Cloud, the only thing that's in the cloud is a website.
Okay. So a server.
And it's not critical.
Okay.
No company corporate data or anything like that is on there. There is some Azure assets.
Okay.
They are only accessible through a VPN tunnel locally. They're not accessible from the outside anywhere. So we just use that for like,
Okay.
and stuff like that.
But now this web server that you have in the cloud, does it have direct access to your corporate environment?
No.
Okay. Okay.
It is completely standalone. It is in
Okay.
its own sandbox.
Got you. Okay. So if you would have cloud, or you have cloud, I would add cloud monitoring. Okay.
Oh, and Mimecast for email. You mentioned email, so Mimecast.
Yes.
for that.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, so now you have the tools, you have appliances. Are they deployed across your environment? Are you sure you don't have any gaps?
There's always gaps.
Yes. So you need to start. You need to start hunting them, right? You need to start looking for them.
I'm not going for it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just now to have manpower. We're getting to the point where we need dedicated personnel to
Mhm.
start working on this stuff.
And there is a challenge.
What is my pitch? How many people?
Mhm.
What do we leverage? What's the missing building block? Which is, again, we need that dashboard, that
Mhm.
visibility to look at stuff. It's like looking at Kiwi logs, like you said. It burns you out.
It does, yeah. And now, since you are running into a situation when you have multiple appliances, multiple vendors, does it make sense for the analyst to learn 10 tools? Does it make sense to consolidate? Because if it's a large organization, from the architectural perspective, the simple solution is the best because there is a less number of solutions that analysts needs to learn and use, right? So you don't want to go to 10 different tools and learn them and jump from one to another. You want to have it consolidated. If you have skilled engineers, you might want to even move to the source solution where some of the, and check which alerts are triggered the most or are simple to handle and automate that response. You could look into that as well. But again, it depends what stage you are at.
Well, do we just stay simple, go with gray log and put everything in there so that we can kind of see it, maybe filter it? Do we want to do no stack so that we really don't mess with looking at stuff? Do we want to get really complicated and do security and dump everything in there so then it's like from end to end so you can do all the forensics
Mhm.
through under one, but you're adding complexity.
Yes. And here is another note. So those solutions just for the logs. I know it's a best practice from 5+ years ago, but I call it old school. Why? Because if you look at this, those will provide you information after the fact. So you have detect. Well, actually, if you go through an entire cycle, you have identify, protect, detect, respond, recover, right? Identify, protect, it's called before the boom. Detect, respond, recover, it's after the boom. So after alert, after something already happened. And when you look just on the raw logs and hunting through them, you are on the right side. So right side, so after the boom, after the fact. Where you want to move is to the left, where is identify, protect, and then detect and immediately recover. The tools like syslog do not support that. You want to move towards automation, where when something is detected, your tools immediately respond or prompt the analyst to take a look and respond. I would look towards that direction if your budget allows that.
So then you want to move towards more security onion because then you have something where it comes in, you've got more alerting.
Well, partially, right? Security onion won't respond. You would want to have something like EDR and SOAR, that if something is detected, the tool can either immediately respond or provide everything to the analyst, and analyst just clicks the button and responds. I know that it won't be 100% solution, but that will save your analyst's time from just scrolling through the logs.
Okay, so a little more active than a Carl's strike then.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome. So EDR and SOAR allow all of that. And what's your name? Matthew, thank you. Thank you for the question. Great question. Anyone else? You know, I know it's late. Anything goes. Go ahead.
Anything goes? Can I ask about the cool accent?
About what? Oh, it's Polish.
Polish?
Yes. Yes. Any other questions? Okay, I guess that's all. Thank you very much for showing up, and thank you very much for your time.